welcome back to the Kachi Outdoors podcast, where we talk about all things California hunting and sportsman related. So, or most things actually, not all things.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
A lot of things, yeah.
So we're talking about bears today, predation in general, but bears specifically. That's an area we're kind of growing more and more concerned about. The more we see, the more we're in the field. Bears are starting to become more of a regular part of our frontal cortex.
Like ants at a picnic.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of mixed, messages from hunters and different people that are interested in bears for different reasons. I mean, there's a bunch of different people that we've got people on both sides of the bear interest in California, and dramatically so. I mean, last year we had a bill that tried to pass that they put up a bill trying to completely omit bear hunting from
knock it out.
So that's not a good thing. So, but yeah, we're wanting to talk about it because we see and kill a lot of bears.
So I think a good place to start with this conversation is going back to mountain lions. So mountain lion hunting was outlawed in the 90s, wasn't it?
I
think it was the early 90s. And so there's been a school of thought for the last 20 years plus from hunters that it's the fault of mountain lions that we've seen such a decline in deer population. And there's some truth to that, but more factual approach is that the increase in the bear population is wreaking havoc on deer populations.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of factors there. A lot of hunters like to jump on the bandwagon of, predators are destroying our ecosystem, and there is a massive impact of predation on our deer in California. The thing about bears and mountain lions is we were recently in a discussion, a forum with California Department of Fish and Game, and they were talking about different hunting opportunities there in that discussion, and the question was brought up about bears versus mountain lions and what's killing more deer and whatnot. And the biologist, and I don't remember the biologist's name, is a lady who operates in northeastern California primarily, but she's one of the leading biologists in the area on predation, predator kills, and that kind of thing. And she was talking about the fact that the mountain lions and bears work together against each other to
competing over
exactly. So what happens is mountain lions are a lot more efficient killers. I mean, they just pick what deer they want to kill and they kill it essentially. And so the mountain lion will make a kill, and then the bear will steal the kill, whether they hide it in a tree or whatever, try to bury it. The bears will come along, sniff it out, and they'll steal the dead deer carcass. And so now the mountain lion's got to go kill another deer, and it only consumed maybe a small portion of that deer. So it's like a compounding problem. Yeah. Mountain lions and bear working against each other together to decimate deer populations.
And the truth is there's just not that much good information out there. So the latest statistics from Fish and Game are, in fact, I just checked these today. I think it was 1982. The estimated population of bears in the state was 10 to 15,000. I don't know when the most recent numbers are from, but
I think 2022.
Was that what it is? And the estimation is 30 to 40,000. But it's important to understand that population is not linear. The growth of population, it's exponential.
Right.
So the more bears there are, the faster they're increasing.
Yeah.
And since they outlawed dog hunting with dogs, with hounds, that's been probably 10 years.
Yeah,
now,
something like that.
Maybe more. We've seen, it's the old eye test. We've been out in the woods hunting every year over year, and seeing more and more and more bears.
It's been a dramatic, in the last 4 years, I think it's been a dramatic increase in my opinion. Just personal, that's completely, my opinion. But we've seen and killed bears every year. And like, we went on a vacation this last week. We took our families camping, and they went up a couple of days before us, and in the first 2 days, you guys had seen how many deer and bear?
We saw 3 bears and no deer within a given region. And it's an area I grew up hunting with my dad up in the C zones. And so it's a familiar spot. And I went to a spot, like, actually where I killed my first deer, the same mountain. And historically, there was always deer on this mountain, always. Like, I remember going up years ago in the same month, June, and seeing deer literally everywhere, bedded down, running around, feeding, just deer everywhere. I saw 0 deer and 2 bears from the, I didn't get off the road. I wasn't hiking. And so,
which is mind blowing, because bear, you would never see, like, wild bears. I mean, you go to Yosemite or Tahoe Basin, they're going to be everywhere, but you don't see wild bears like that just by the highway. Like, I never have.
No, me either. Yeah.
And I've seen one by the highway when I was driving across country and saw it just leaving California.
Well, the 2 bears we saw were off of a logging road, but we actually saw another one off the highway at the bottom of that same mountain. So 3 bears on the same mountain.
That's crazy.
Within 2 days. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah,
you never see that.
You know, you talk about a buck-doe ratio. We're talking about a deer-bear ratio.
So another good eye test was this last year, 2022, archery season. So John and I were hunting, same area we've hunted for years, and opening morning of archery, we saw 4 bears and 1 buck. No, 2 bucks. There was a dinker, a 3x3, a doe, and 4 bears. That was the ratio. 4 bears.
Yeah, that's not optimal for deer hunting. It's great for bear hunting, though.
So
here's the thing. You get people that jump in, and there's several hunters that, you know, even recently have said, you know, well, there's not too many bears, or where are you seeing bears? We don't see bears, or I don't know. I don't know if you're hunting in like downtown LA or if you just don't look when you're hunting, but we see bears everywhere. Like, it doesn't matter if it's D zone, C zone, B zone,
even
A zone. We're seeing bears everywhere. So
we put up a trail camera in a hot part of A zone a few years ago, and there was a bear on there.
Yeah,
like I'd never seen bear sign there.
But it goes back to what I was saying a second ago, which was so surprising and indicative of the population growth right now with bears, is you don't usually see them from the road. You'll see deer from the road, logging roads and whatever, even highways, but you're not going to see as many bear, or if any, from roads. We do a lot of hiking when we're hunting, we do a lot of hiking or backpacking when we're hunting. So I think that may be why we run into a lot more bears than some guys maybe do, because they're driving around looking out their window, which can be an effective method of deer hunting sometimes. But if you want to find bears, you're going to have to hike. And bears roam, and they're fast. They don't usually just stop and stay in one area unless they're sleeping, and they're hard to find.
Well, think of the stories of guys that do see bears from the road. What are they doing?
They're running.
Yeah. The bears we saw, all of them were running.
Yep.
So
yeah, they don't hang around. It's not like they're not like deer, and they're like, look at you. Bears are like, see ya. I see a human. But yeah, so the population of bears in California, there's 2 species of bear in California. Actually, I think there's the California black bear and then the northern black bear, or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So the population of bears in California is growing pretty rapidly. From our anecdotal time in the field, right? Bears are becoming more prevalent, and also the numbers that we find, like from Fish and Game surveys, are saying the same thing. I mean, that's a 4x since the 80s in population, and I guarantee you next year it's probably going to be a 6x if someone had an accurate population estimate.
And the important thing to note is that bears don't have predators other than hunters in the state. So this population is going to keep growing.
Yep, and nothing's going to stop it, except for dogs probably. Dog hunting, hound hunting.
And they're introducing wolves. I don't know what kind of impact that'll have, but it'll be marginal at best. But the thing is, the harvest quota is 1,700 bears a year. I don't remember ever seeing it reached since I've been old enough to pay attention.
Since dogs, yeah. That's fact.
So, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but usually it's around 1,400 bears by the end of the year. And the season's long. It starts in August. It's concurrent. We've talked about it on other podcasts and stuff. It runs concurrent with archery seasons, and then concurrent with rifle seasons. And then you can hunt with a rifle from September until almost the end of the year. It's like the last weekend in December.
Yeah.
So you're talking like, September, October, November, 4 months?
Yep. And the interesting thing is, not a lot of guys are doing it. I mean, personally, I'm a little bit guilty of not focusing on bear hunting. You know, I think we need to like be meeting this quota every single year by like the third week of season. It'd be totally possible if guys were doing it. I mean, we're contributing though because we're both filling bear tags every year because we feel like it's our duty to do it. I don't really like packing them out. I do like bear meat. We just grind it up mostly and eat
bear
it like
meat
that.
Feels like lead in your backpack.
Yeah.
It's just, it hits different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah.
And you're carrying a hide out most of the time and a head because you have to take the head to fish and game. So you've got like, you know, hauling a bear out of the field is like 120 pounds, you know, 150 pounds of bear. But regardless, I haven't had to focus on bear hunting, concentrate on it separate from deer hunting because we've always filled tags deer hunting. We filled our bear tags while we're deer hunting.
And that's how most hunters get their bears.
Right.
They buy a bear tag and they run into a bear while they're deer hunting. But we're seeing a lot of interest across the West in bear hunting. We're seeing the spring bear hunts.
It's growing for sure.
You know, the gritty guys are out there getting those bears in the spring. It's a blast to watch.
Born and raised is always posting up bear hunts.
Yeah. So how do we get these guys to come to California and not hunt deer?
Yeah.
But I'm just kidding. But to hunt these bears, like, we need more bear hunters.
Yeah, and even if we did, I mean, honestly, so the quota is really low for the current conditions. Like if they changed the hunting, if they allowed hound hunting again, I think the quota would probably need to be somewhere in the 2,000 bear range because the quota would be met every single year, no problem, quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, and I know there was some big illicit behavior around bear hunting. There was a lot of people trading the organs, selling them on the black market, and poaching a lot of bears for different reasons.
Was it the gallbladder?
Yeah.
That was the thing, yeah. Eastern medicine stuff.
Yeah. But the reality of it is the bear population is still exploding. I mean, we're seeing a lot of skinny, hungry bears when we go out. And they're just like frantic. You blow a predator call at these bears in California, they will come running.
It's a blast.
That's how we kill them.
Bear hunting is so fun.
Yep.
If you do it, it's fun, especially with archery equipment. So two or 3 years ago, I took a buddy out hunting. He hasn't really hunted before, so I thought I'm gonna go show him the ropes. Took him out to D zone. I don't remember which D zone it was. It might have been D3. But anyways, we went up to some high country and we were deer hunting, but I had a bear tag. But our focus was deer, and we were at this, I don't know, maybe half a mile from the highway, and we're at the rim of this canyon, and we sat there and glassed all morning, saw no deer at all, no movement whatsoever. Hiked down to the bottom of this canyon, and it was like bear mecca down there. But I had never seen this before. There were bear droppings with bark in them. Like these bears had been eating bark.
Yeah, they're probably going for like the larva and stuff inside the rotting bark.
But literally, and it was a burn area.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but piles of just bark. Like they've been just peeling off the bark and eating it.
That's crazy.
I don't know if that's indicative of a lack of feed, especially in a burn area.
I think when they have a lot of bark in their poop, they're going for like bark beetles and larvae that are nesting in the wood and stuff. They just eat everything and poop the bark out.
Maybe that's not a relevant story, but
I don't know. But I don't know that for sure. That's just what I thought.
Well, I saw a video not too long ago too, and I don't know if it's true or not, but a guy was bear hunting, and he shot a bear with his rifle. The bear hit the dirt, and within a few seconds before that guy could get to that bear, another bear charged in and started mauling the downed bear, like eating it. And like I said, I can't vouch for the validity of that video, but it was in California.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it at all. They're starving to death.
They are. There's a lot of skinny bears.
There's a lot of skittish blacktail in California. They're hard to catch, and so fawning season the bears fatten up nicely probably, but the rest of the year they're stuck on the old vegetation diet, which is fine. I mean, they eat that kind of stuff a lot, larvae and vegetation and moths and whatever they can dig up.
Well, think of the drought we've had too. So we've had years and years until this last season. Year after year of drought, which impacts.
The bucks are going to be big this year.
Oh, they're going to be massive. I can't wait. So we've had these years of drought, and bear do eat a lot of grass. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny to watch them. They look like horses eating grass. They just rip it. But we've had a lack of grass because of the drought. And so compound that with the boom in population
Yeah,
of
it's a
bears.
problem.
And yeah,
It's a problem for the bears, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't, when you talk about like hunting bears and reducing the population and stuff, I enjoy having bears on the landscape. I'm not like a proponent of killing all the bears. I hate bears. The bears kill the deer. You know, I understand there's a natural course of action. You know, it's the circle of life.
it's balance.
Yeah,
It's all about balance.
But it has to be balanced. And the bears, we are the balancing weight for the bears. Nothing else is besides starvation or competition. Nothing else is going to balance the bears, and that's a horrible way for them to go, by starving to death and being, you know. So the fact that people are trying to talk about completely removing a bear hunting season is just absurd. You know, we need more bear hunting.
I was talking to a lady at work. She lives up in Yuba or Sutter counties, I forget, in a rural part of town, and she has some property. And she was saying that she used to see deer come through, and every year there'd be fawns and stuff. And she's like, you know, I haven't seen the deer in the last couple of years. I said, so have you seen any bears? She's like, you know what? I have. I've seen some bears.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was like, well, there you go.
What a coincidence.
Seeing the fawns. So doe are strategic. When they drop their fawns, they do it in strategic areas. They don't just, it's not willy-nilly, as they say.
Yeah.
Like they want to be, because that's the most vulnerable time in an animal's life for a doe and a fawn, is when they're fawning.
Yep.
And if you've ever seen a fawn a day or two after birth, like you could walk them down.
Yeah.
They fumble around. They're easy prey. So they fawn in specific areas. And if a bear is an opportunistic eater, so if he can sniff out those fawns, he'll wipe them out, no problem.
And they got a great nose.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good at sniffing out fawns. Yeah, and they'll catch young deer too if they're lucky. You know, if a bear gets lucky, it'll catch them. But, you know, I think that the whole thing with bears is just the fact that the bear are overpopulated. They're contributing to decreasing deer. I mean, you have deer populations decreasing while bear populations are increasing. So, I mean, there's got to be some correlation there. And the bears we just need to help them out, check the population as much as we can.
So get this. I heard somebody tell a story about going to, I forget what it was. It was a theme park that had wildlife, maybe the one in Vallejo, I don't remember. But they went to a talk at the theme park about wolves. And they were talking about wolf populations in California specifically. And they said that the reason that deer are overpopulated, and if you know anything about deer in California, you'll laugh at that. The reason that deer are overpopulated is because they removed wolves. And so reintroducing wolves to California will help balance out the population. And I was like, where do I start with that? That's so ridiculous. So we haven't had wolves in a long time, but our population is 25% of what it was in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, the deer population.
The deer population. So what's your excuse about that?
Yeah.
That logic right there.
The thing is that you get a lot of these people propagating stories like that to the general public, and they just take it hook, line, and sinker because they have no idea. Yeah, they don't even know how many deer are there. They don't go out and see. You ask a hunter, oh, why is the deer population overpopulated? They're going to be like, what? You know, when was the last time you went deer hunting or out in nature at all? How many deer did you see besides, you know, all the suburbanite deer walking around on the edge of the neighborhood?
And that's what throws people off too.
Yeah, because they'll go at the edge of town. You know, where I live, there's a lot of deer come to the edge of town all the time. They'll come in people's yards at nighttime. And I see tons of deer. I'll go to do a job at someone's house and drive down in a kind of a suburban rural area, and I'll see 15 or 20 deer on the way to someone's house in the morning. And, you know, it's like, oh, there must be a lot of deer because people see that. But then you go outside of town a little bit where all the predators live. Lo and behold, there's no deer out there. You know, it's like, where'd all the deer go? So, yeah. Yeah,
I think, in my opinion, I think bears are a bigger problem for deer population than mountain lions, which is
for sure
counter to what a lot of people, like if you go read the forums, you'll think mountain lions are just wiping everything out.
It's a numbers game. And honestly, I think the biggest problem for deer is humans. On multifaceted population growth and expansion of humans, right?
That's a whole other can.
That's a problem. Yeah, we're not going to get into it. But so I just heard an extremely interesting statistic from a longtime a biologist. He was on the Randy Newberg podcast. If I can remember his name, I'll say it. But and he was talking about it, specifically elk, but it's elk. It's a hunter prey interaction that with human hunters and elk. But he's done a lot of research, and he's a biologist. He's a biologist for a long time, and then in his retirement now, he works on a private ranch, a hunting ranch, a very large hunting ranch that's connected to public land. And he does a lot of research projects out there, hand in hand with their Department of Fish and Game. I think this is in Montana. Anyway, the podcast was about wounding. So if you want to go look up the podcast, it's a really good podcast on Randy Newberg's show. But the biologist was saying on their ranch, they collared a bunch of deer. For several years in a row, they did this project, and they looked at the numbers and the statistics around wounding. So as soon as an elk would die, when the collar stopped moving for like 6 to 8 hours, it would send them a signal, and they would go immediately to the carcass and try to figure out what killed it. And so they were pretty successful in that. And what they found was on that particular, which this was elk that were on public and private land, that particular research, that almost 50% of the deaths that occurred in the elk were a result of hunter wounding, non-recovered elk.
That is wild.
And he said on a regular basis, he said he would venture to say that almost anywhere that the numbers would be 20 to 30%
of the deaths
due to wounding of cervids, or like deer, elk, whatever, is because of wounding. Wow. Which is a staggering I mean, think about, as a hunter, and there's a lot of guys, they were talking about buck fever and stuff, that just completely lose their mind when they get an opportunity. Mm-hmm. You need to figure that out before you go out there and start shooting it at these animals. Because think about a 20% greater population of, and that's target species. That's not just does. Like in California, that would be bucks. Like 20% to 30% of the bucks that die are from wounding, non-recovered deer. It happens. We all make a bad shot every once in a while, especially archer equipment or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he said actually in that study that was split almost 50-50 between archery and rifle.
Wow, that's
so it's crazy. Not just the bow hunters, screwing everything up.
Yeah.
So, but it was just really incredible for me to hear that our populations would be 20 to 30% larger year over year if hunters were making more ethical shots. And they went on to talk about some different, there's in Europe, there's a lot higher requirements on getting a hunting license. You got to do training and heart rate elevation, shooting, and all this kind of stuff to get your license. And their wounding rate was about 7%, which is still unfortunate, but way better than 20 to 30 to 50 in some places. I mean, that's obscene. So before you get all huffy about bears and mountain lions and everything killing all the deer,
look at yourself in the mirror a little bit.
Try to take some practice shots, So, and
that's true. I mean, when you talk about predators, humans are at the top of the list always, always, for various reasons.
Yeah, it's a compounding effect. I mean, we're all after the deer together, us, the lions, and the bears. Mm-hmm. So we got to do our part to be the most ethical that we can, and then reduce the impact that the bears are having because they're overpopulated to start with. So, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would love to see a bigger focus on bear hunting in California. I would like to see popularity grow outside the state.
Yeah. I mean, so I keep jumping and interrupting. I just got so much to say about bears. But the cool thing about California bear hunting, come to California and bear hunt.
Just do it after deer season.
Yeah, after deer season. The cool thing about hunting in California, hunting bears, is that I haven't hunted bears in other places much, so I don't really know. But I'm assuming it's not the same as everywhere else from videos I've seen and other people's experiences that I've learned from. But it's like a spot and stalk bear mecca session.
It is.
And calling. We can call bears in, so they're not over bait. We're not treeing them. None of that stuff. We can spot and stalk bears when we see them. Our method of killing bears. So this is a good tip for you guys. We're just out there in the field, busting bushes, and then when we glass up a bear or see a bear moving somewhere, and we haven't blown it already, or even sometimes if we have, we just start calling a fawn in distress call, and I mean, literally, they turn and come in on a rope. It's unbelievable
snack.
how effective it is.
It's the Taco Bell gong.
Yep. And so I don't know if bear hunting's like that in other places, but it's a lot of fun to call bears like coyotes and shoot them. I mean, it's great. So
and there's a lot of trepidation, I think, around bear meat. People don't know what to do with it. People don't know if it tastes good. There's trichinella. Is that trichinosis?
Yeah.
Trichinella?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
It's both.
It's both.
I think trichinella is like the scientific name. I don't know. You guys are experts. Tell us what it's called. I know that trichinosis is right and trichinella is right.
Okay.
I think trichinella is the bacteria and trichinosis is the disease or something. I don't know.
That makes sense.
I'm not sure. I don't know, guys.
Well, it's the sickness you get from eating bear meat that's contaminated. And usually you see it in bears that consume a lot of rotten meat, like fish in Alaska, salmon. I don't know of anybody that's gotten it here in California that I've heard of.
So it's safe to assume that all bears have trichinosis.
Okay. I stand corrected.
I would listen to a podcast from a biologist talking about it, and they were talking. I don't remember who it was or when or whatever, but it really stood out to me. And then I did some research afterward, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But basically, they just said, if you hunt bears, treat the meat like it has trichinosis, because from research, I want to say the research showed that over 70% of bears that were harvested, that were tested, had trichinosis.
Really?
So much so to the point where one of the biologists that was talking about it said, don't even worry about taking your meat, a sample, and having it tested and whatever. He says, it's not worth it. It's probably got trichinosis or trichinella bacteria or whatever. So just treat it that way.
Well, on that note, what I always do with my bear meat is I grind everything. So I don't do steaks or roasts or anything.
Right.
I grind everything up. And shout out to Country Meats in Elk Grove. That's who does most of my butchering. But they'll do like a breakfast sausage blend. They'll do an Italian sausage blend. And I just cook everything well done. So
yeah, I mean, if you're putting it in pasta, like meat sauce, or making cheeseburgers. I mean, we've made cheeseburgers with it before. And you can cook. So with trichinosis, this is a whole nother discussion. But the it's not FDA, but whoever sets the bar for what you're supposed to do with it, they say 165 degrees for 10 minutes or something ridiculous, whatever. The trichinella dies at like 136 degrees or something. So as long as you're cooking it like medium well, and there's not pink, you can still make a juicy cheeseburger at 165 degrees.
And it's delicious too.
Oh, they're amazing.
It's good meat. Yeah. I enjoy ground bear more than I enjoy ground venison.
Yeah, I do
really
too.
I work for an organization that nobody I know of, I think there's 70 plus or minus people that work there, nobody hunts. There's a few vegetarians. Nobody's interested in hunting. But I am. So we had a potluck this last year, a Halloween potluck. We do it every year. And I made homemade bear Italian meatballs in spaghetti sauce or marinara sauce.
Everyone got trichinosis. Take that, all you non-hunters.
We all had a week of sick time. No, everybody loved it. Everybody that tried it was blown away. Like, this is bear. This is amazing. So it's really good. But that's all I do is grind it up. I don't do anything else.
I don't either.
Yeah.
And bear meat can be kind of tough and whatever. So I'm sure you can make great steaks out of bear. I'm sure there's some guys, oh, you're an idiot. You should make steaks. They're delicious. But
like the guy who said putting pico on a venison steak.
Yeah.
He yelled at us on YouTube for that.
Yeah, it's great. But no, really, the bear's great. And I think that it provides great food. It's a whole load of fun.
It's a blast.
And it's another excuse to get out of the house and go hunting. Deer season's over, get your bear tag and get after it. And the thing with bear tags, if you guys didn't know, in California, so there's a quota that has to be filled. You can buy a bear tag until there's one bear tag left in the quota.
They are fully, completely over the counter.
Right.
There is no sellout of bear tags.
Nope.
It's just the quota.
And you can keep buying. You probably even keep buying them after the quota is filled if you wanted to. They probably would let you. But once the quota is filled, you're no longer allowed to harvest bears. So even if you have a tag in your pocket, that doesn't mean you can kill a bear. It just means you've got a tag. Congratulations. But if you're a resident, it's only like what, $40 or?
I think it's like 56, but just under 60.
Yeah,
for a resident.
yeah.
So there's probably some guys listening to this conversation, and I know this is happening because we just posted a short video of a bear we saw up in the C zones last weekend, and we've had a few comments like, "Man, I was out looking for bears and I didn't see any," or "Where are you guys at? Because I didn't see any where I was hunting," and stuff like that. So the bears are not populated across the state. There's concentrations of bear populations.
If you're hunting in Southern California, you're going to see a lot fewer bears.
And we were talking to Davey on the first podcast, and he's San Diego County D, whatever it is. 13,
I think.
Yeah, and there's no bears down there.
Yeah, and I recently read something that said there are some bears that are very sparse. Like in that whole region, there's a few, but.
And as an avid hunter, he's never seen them.
Right.
So that tells
you. And
he
spends a lot of time in the field.
He does.
He lives out there, so.
So the further you get north, I think the rule of thumb is the further you go north in California, the more bears there are.
Kind of, pretty much, yeah.
Other than like the Central Valley and parts of the coast, but once you get into like North A zone, and then into the Southern B zones, and then D zone down to probably like D6 or D7, something like that. That's where you get there's a lot of bears in the Tahoe Basin.
Yeah, so if you want to find a bear in California, you could probably go to one of 3 areas and really find a lot of bears. I would say my personal preference would be Tahoe Basin or somewhere around there. And the cool thing about bear hunting is you can go in any unit that's open for hunting.
Yeah.
So
anywhere in the state.
You can go in X6B, X7, whatever unit, and there's some serious bears over there. Also, if you like steep country and hiking, you can go into the Trinity Alps or the Marble Mountains. I would say, so those are North B zone, but you could go any one of those areas, and you're going to see a ton of bears.
I mean, so we were in the C zones too, and seeing a lot of bears, and I'm hearing stuff about more and more bears in C zones.
I just know that I talked to a friend, neighbor of mine, and they hunted in the Trinity Alps for deer this last year, and now this is going to be an inflated number, okay? I didn't say it, I'm repeating it. He said they saw over 100 bears. They were there for 9 days. They saw over 100 bears and like 20-something deer.
That's a lot of bears.
That's a lot of bears. But however stupid it seems, I can believe it, honestly.
Even if you cut that number in half, that's an insane number of bears.
Right. I mean, and this is a guy, like he's told me stories before, and I was like, baloney. And then he showed me the deer at his house, and I was like, okay, fine. So I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what I heard.
Well, think of the videos you watch from like Gritty, right? And they'll do these 10-day bear hunts and see
30 or something.
Yeah, 100 bears.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. We need to go check it out.
How does everybody not flood the state hunting bears every year?
They were like 12 miles in.
It's a big area.
It's very rugged country.
It is, yeah.
The Alps are very rugged country. So, but either way, I mean, even if they saw 20 bears in 7 days, 9 days, that's a lot of bears, dude. I mean, but we've seen probably 10 bears in 4 days of hunting before.
We'll be in one, I mean, relatively speaking, a tiny area, a tiny area, like less than a square mile.
Yeah.
And we'll see half a dozen bears there.
Yeah. Through the course of a few days of hunting. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. What were we trying to talk about? Yeah, that's what he said. I'm like, dude, but I'm like, okay, maybe he didn't do counting very well in school.
Or maybe some of what he's seeing was the same bear.
Could be some resident bears that they saw bears 100 times. It was the same bear walking up and down the hill. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know.
So this is kind of a crazy statistic. For all the time, this is my own personal statistic, for all the time that I've spent in the woods, I've never seen a mountain lion. Ever.
That's not uncommon.
But I've seen countless bears.
Countless.
And so I have, going back to the whole discussion about like the root cause of our deer decline, I have a hard time blaming mountain lions when I never see them. I know they're there. I've seen tracks and stuff.
But here's the thing. how many mountain lion tracks do you even see? I've
Rarely
seen
ever.
one mountain lion, and we're talking about like several decades of hunting and being in the field here.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of us, we've got over 40 years of like being in the field as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And
we lived there for 40 years.
yeah, didn't even come out for a drink of water or nothing. But I mean, and I've seen a mountain lion one time, and I've been stalked by a mountain lion one time because I saw the tracks over my boot prints following me all day, which was pretty creepy.
Wow.
But yeah, that was in Alpine County in D4. A buddy of mine and I, this was like 10 years ago, we hiked in the dark into a place we'd never been before, and we kept hearing stuff behind us in the middle of the night, and we would shine our lights and nothing. We kept hearing, like, it was a big shale like rock cliff that we were climbing down, and we were hearing like little rocks coming down behind us. We just thought it was from us walking down and dislodging stuff, and then it's rolling down or whatever. So we kept shining the lights back there, and we couldn't see anything. So we were just like, whatever, you hear stuff in the woods at nighttime, whatever. And then we finally got into our spot and hunted all day and struck out. On the way out, I've got pictures of these mountain lion tracks like this big, right over the top of our boot prints, following us all the way in our hike.
Woo.
It wasn't like it just crossed our path. The sucker followed us in. Like, what are they doing? Their cats are curious, man.
Yeah, they are.
But anyway, all that to say, yeah, there's, I mean, the numbers, biologists would know better, but they're not that many.
And we had a spot in A-Zone that we had some cameras out, kind of in a rural but slightly residential area too, that we just kind of monitored for our own curiosity's sake, some private land. And we had one mountain lion sighting on there.
Yeah.
And there was no real change in the deer population.
But that was like over months of camera work.
Months, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was one sighting and it was gone. And there was no real impact to the deer population. Like
Yeah.
the deer stayed, coming and going, same population numbers. Whereas I've seen the steady decline in these locations where more and more bears
Yep.
are.
Bears show up and deer disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what are we going to do about it?
Well, it depends on
Buy
what kind of
a-
rifle you own.
Buy a bear tag. Buy a bear tag.
We like to hunt bear archery. It's our preference. I mean, I'll shoot them with the rifle if the opportunity arises, but
We never make it to archery season with a bear tag.
you mean rifle season?
I mean, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No,
Yeah.
honestly,
we never
we
make
always,
it to rifle.
we generally always kill our bears during archery deer season in August.
And we see more bears during archery season. Bears are pretty skittish.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, they're more skittish than deer. So they're more sensitive to human pressure than I think deer are, although deer are too.
Okay. So Clayton and I actually just spitballed this idea. If you guys are interested, let us know. If you want to go on a bear hunt with Kachi Outdoors, we'll film it. We'll put it on the channel. If one of you guys, if you're a subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, kick rocks. Okay. If you're a subscriber and you want to go on a hunt with us, on a bear hunt, bleep bloop it down below. Let us know, and we'll see if we can put something together. If there's enough interest, if it's just like a couple guys, like, yeah, then whatever. If there's enough interest, we'll do it. We'll pick out a time, probably just after deer season.
Yeah.
Early winter or something. And we'll find a spot that there's some bears in. We've got a lot of them, and we'll go. We'll do it, and knock a bear dead.
So let us know. Leave a comment.
Yeah. If you want to go on a bear hunt with us, leave a comment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you want your buddy, if you think it's a good idea, share it with your buddies. And if they're interested, they'll comment. If we get enough comments of people that want to do it, we'll put something together, put a promotion together or something, and figure it out.
And we've had a lot of people ask us to take them out.
Yeah.
And we're not guides. We're
every
not,
week.
Yeah. We're not licensed guides. So we can't go guide people.
Some people get creative too. They're like, do you want to come hunting with me?
Yeah.
Send me some pictures first. What you got going on?
I think it would be fun to hunt with people, but it's a matter of just time.
Yeah, we don't have the time to go hunt or bring everyone hunting. I mean, that'd be cool.
We don't even have time to hunt ourselves half the time. So, but this would be a lot of fun, and we've talked about doing it in the past. Never really made it official. So this is the first time we're putting it out there.
Yeah, it's not a guide service, but
no, not at all.
But we can go and film a hunt, and you guys can go with us. It'd be fun.
Yeah,
so.
It'd be a blast.
Yeah, it would. So let us know.
On that note, this pretty much wraps up our podcast this time, talking about bears. We've got some cool stuff coming up, and we are right around the corner from deer season.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Coming fast.
You know what? And this is just something I just pulled out of back there somewhere, but we should also, in the comments, you guys better get pretty active. We've been thinking about trying to put some type of a group, coalition, something together about California bear hunting. Because I like hunting deer more than bears myself, personally. Mm-hmm. But I think as conservationists and hunters in this state, it's kind of starting to become something that we really need to get together behind and start not only personally each of us hunting bears and trying to take more bears, but also to start pushing more legislation to get maybe hound hunting open back up.
Or maybe a spring bear season.
We need the numbers under control.
We need to hit that quota. We need to hit that quota every year. That's a good jumping off point.
Yeah, that could be our starting point. Is to start. We could hashtag meet the quota.
Hey, there we go.
So
I like it.
If we can start that and just start getting guys in the field and saying, hey, meet the quota, we got to get these bears down. Then at least if we're meeting the quota every year, we're doing everything we can other than legislative work,
Which that's an uphill battle. We all know it will be in California. But if we're not meeting the quota of 1,700 bears,
it's pretty sad.
Yeah,
we can't ask for more.
We need to get busy with that. That's our jumping off point as hunters. That's where we're
hey, and you know what? If we meet the quota every year and it starts controlling the numbers, then fantastic. Yeah. That's all we need. I doubt it will, but
and then from there, maybe the next thing is we increase the quota. Maybe it goes to 2,000 or 1,900.
Hashtag increase the quota.
And I think I actually heard Remy Warren talk about California bear hunting on his podcast and how he deemed it the best bear hunting spot in the West.
Wow.
So that's high praise coming from
crazy.
So people know what's up if they've been here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bears.
Yeah. If you know how to find them, man, that's, you go like this. There they are. No, I'm just kidding. You have to be in the right spots and kind of know what to look for. But I mean, there's a lot of bears. So a lot of opportunity.
So what's it? Hashtag meet the quota.
Meet the quota.
All right. So Instagram, you'll see a follow-up post about this.
Boom.
So yeah, leave a comment. Let us know if you're interested in doing a bear hunt. Probably be next year. We're pretty much booked up this year with hunts and schedules.
Maybe this year.
All right. So one last thing we're going to put out there. We're going to make a new T-shirt. We're going to drop a new T-shirt. In fact, this is the most recent T-shirt. If you haven't bought one, you got to go get one. It's really cool. Hunt CA. We're going to make another one. Meet the quota. And it'll be dropping soon. That might have something to do with our bear hunting trip.
Yeah.
We'll see. Cool. Well, that was a fun conversation. We will wrap it up, and we will see you guys on the next podcast. Thanks for tuning in.